Cool.
Thank you very much. All these are rolling.
Hey guys, welcome back to GX Podcast, Say It How It Is. We are your hosts, it's Nyla.
And Shanice.
And this is your episode all about COVID-19 and education. This is what we're talking about this week. It is strong. It's a strong topic.
Yeah, definitely.
It's going on in the world right now. A lot of young people are feeling it. A lot of teachers are feeling it. Schools have been shut for numerous weeks, numerous months, and we don't know what the future holds. We don't know when you're going back, what's going to happen with exams. Everything's up in the air and people are struggling and finding this really difficult.
But what we want to know is how you feel about it.
Yes, definitely. And this is what the podcast is about. We want to hear your say and how you feel. So we're going to have our guest join us very shortly, who's going to talk about her feelings. But first of all week we've been asking you to send in your positive news.
Yeah, some
Newport
accomplishments. Newport news of the week.
If you watched our first clip, you would know that we start every episode with something positive. It's called Newport News. We have had some people send in some stuff. So, we hear... Yep, let's
I'm
see.
ready.
Okay, so,
Right.
what have you got, niece?
Wow. I've got Leonte. Leonte's just released a new single.
Okay, Young Tay.
Out.
Check him out.
But we've also got Alex just moved into her first flat independently. She's moving on up.
Whoop, whoop.
Big girl movements. Big boy.
Big girl movements. There you go, Alex.
big
Well done.
mountains.
Positive thing. Emily has roller skates, which is sick. I used to have roller skates. I love
I feel
roller
like I want some
skating.
roller skates now.
But I couldn't do the four ones, the four wheels. That's roller skates, isn't
Resident
it?
people does that.
Yeah, I can't do them ones. The
Really?
blades. I had to do the blades.
Stay tuned. We'll get the roller skates on. One time.
Yeah,
We'll get
we'll have a
roller
little
skates.
roller skate
Yes.
show. Yeah. The blades are the one for me. I just can't. I've seen a few people roller skating in the park.
I haven't. No.
Haven't you seen that?
No, I wish people did that. I didn't know. That was
If
cool.
you're roller skating, right, that's a talent,
Yes.
and we want to know
Send us
how.
some pictures.
We want to see some videos, some pictures. Send them in. You could be artist of the week for roller skating. That could be your talent. We're going to come back to artist of the week a little bit later on in the show, but first off, we want to introduce our guest today.
Yes, we got a special.
We have someone amazing who is part of the Expressions team, and we love her, and she's talented, and she's great, and she's got a lot to say. So I'm going to introduce you, or I'm going to let her introduce herself actually. So
yeah, you
there you go. Yes, we can hear you.
Oh,
So
ready.
tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, how old you are.
Okay, my name is Sienna, Croeso. I'm from Newport, obviously. I like singing and I like being part of G Expressions and the Urban Circle. And I just like to say I'm quite a positive person.
That's good.
I'm very passionate for things that I like.
So how old are you, Sienna, and can you tell us what school you go to?
I'm 15 and I go to Lisbury High School.
Okay, 15. So would that make you in year 11? You in your last year of high school now?
Yeah, I'm in my last year now and hopefully be applying for colleges soon.
Cool.
Looking to go to college, so
Awesome. So tell us, if that's okay, that's what you're on the show for. Tell us a little bit about our topic, which is COVID-19 and education. What do you have to say on this topic?
Well, I feel like these past few months, with everything that's gone on to do with that education and with COVID-19, I feel like everything's just been a bit messed up. I feel like everything's been so on and off when it comes to our education and our ways of learning, to the point where it has not just people who are in high school, but also, teachers confused as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like, we've spent so long, going in and out of lockdowns, going in and out of school, going to school one week, then being off the next, because all about what the government have said about the rules and stuff, and have just give us like lockdowns out of nowhere. And I just feel like it's all just been a bit confusing, really, everything that's gone on, and I feel like everyone's been really unsure about their next steps when it comes to their education.
Yeah. I mean, for you personally, or maybe some of your friends, people you know, how do you think it's affected your learning?
I feel like it has definitely impacted my learning, because I'm a very visual learner and I'm a very physical learner as well. I prefer to, learn things face to face with someone telling me what to do and someone explaining, what to do, or at least having that physical contact there so I can communicate with others to get, a better gist of what I have to do. Whereas I feel like when I'm working by myself online, I could read the same thing over and over and still not understand. But then if someone were to tell that to me, or someone would say that, or, physically, I'd be able to understand. And I feel like when you're by yourself as well, you have like zero motivation when it comes to working, because it's just a natural human instinct. If there's people working, you're going to automatically want to work, you're automatically going to want to work as well as they are, or with them,
Yeah.
Let me jump in, because I want to ask you, Sienna, you seem to know like your way of learning, like you seem quite clued up on like how it is you learn and what it is you need from school. But do you think, for your school for example, how do you think your school's helped students who don't know how they learn and who, are still trying to figure that out and have no idea?
Well, I feel like personally, the teacher's jobs are to make sure that the work is set, to make sure that we've completed it, and to make sure that, everything's done and that we're following our timetable. I know there has been a few teachers who have said, like, email if you need extra support, email if, you need help or anything. But I do feel like sometimes some teachers just set the work and expect it to be done without actually explaining what we have to do, if that makes sense. And I feel like for people who need the extra support, or people who haven't got a clue about what they're doing, I feel like they have provided help, like, to most of us. But I feel like with teachers, if they think that we can do it in school, they expect us to also do it at home, but that's not the case,
Yeah, I can imagine at home there's like distractions, isn't there?
It's completely different.
Yeah.
You might live in a household with siblings, older, younger, parents working from home is a different environment. So I just want to ask, during these times, what would you say to others your age to motivate them, or what would you say motivates you to actually try and get on the best you can with the work you have at home?
Well, I feel like what motivates me personally, and what I feel like could motivate other people, is to definitely 100% try and put yourself in a routine. Mm-hmm. So I feel like with lockdown and everything, lockdown is one of those things, because from where you haven't got like, a consistent routine of everyday things, because obviously things are being taken out of your life, where you haven't got a routine, you tend to be all over the place, whether that's, with your mental health, whether that's with sleeping schedules, whether that's with, plans for the next day. And I like to be quite an organised person, so I like to plan the next days, but with obviously COVID and stuff, I haven't been able to, get what I need to get done and all of those things. So I have been home most of the time, and I feel like it's important to set a routine for yourself. So, maybe set an alarm to get up like early, self-care, that's another thing that is so important.
Yeah. Yes. Get face mask.
Yeah, literally something that comes along with, helping you with education stuff, like self-care, taking care of yourself, making sure you've eaten, making sure you're drinking lots of water, making sure you're looking after yourself, your hygiene. And even though you're at home, it's still important to keep that routine, because you keeping that routine is going to at least give you that bit more of normality of things,
Definitely.
Rather than just staying in your bed all day. And I know that it's difficult for some people, because some people struggle with their mental health and they find it very hard to have motivation. And me personally, I'm a person that I can't exactly get motivated by myself unless there's other people motivating me, or there's other people around me that are like uplifting me. And I've always been like that. And I feel like if you put yourself in a routine and you plan out your day, even if you're at home, even if there's nothing to do, then you'll be able to get you know, work done or what you need to get done a lot quicker.
Yeah, that's awesome advice. That really is. I know me and Shanice were talking earlier about what happens next, like especially for your age group. What you were saying about them moving forward now.
Yeah, because correct me if I'm wrong, but your exams, you guys don't have exams now, right?
Well, yeah, it's quite a funny story actually, how many times exams have been put on and been cancelled, then put on and been cancelled. So obviously we found out, you know, just before the end of the year that exams like GCSEs were completely cancelled, and we also knew then from there that we were going to have controlled assessments in class, which were going to be the same as GCSE basically. There was just going to be more of them, they're going to be shorter, but they were going to be in class. And now, because we've gone into another lockdown and they're not opening, well, they're not thinking of opening schools until after next month or even longer, the controlled assessments have also now been cancelled. So right now, I haven't got a clue what's going to happen. I haven't got a clue whether I'm going to get my, we're going to have different assessments before I leave school in May, or if I'm going to have, you know, my predicted grade from my teachers. Like, I haven't got a clue at all.
Yeah, and I mean, that alone is obviously a worry. You said you want to go to college and stuff, so, you know, thinking about the future and going to college, you obviously need to have those GCSEs. I mean,
you need to know your options.
And I've literally only got I've only got 3 GCSEs because that's all we could complete before we went on to lockdown. And there's me thinking, oh yeah, we're going on lockdown for a bit, go back to school and I'll complete the rest of my GCSEs. But obviously, because everything's been so on and off, they then cancelled exams. So I only got to do 3 of them, which luckily two of the GCSEs were the most important ones, which is English and maths. So yeah, but I still had to do more after that and I haven't been able to do those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this topic is, like we said, is really important. You know, you, along with a million other young people across the UK, the world even, are dealing with this situation. And I literally love your motivation there. I love the advice you gave about self-care. You know, having a routine is so important. And everything you said, Sienna, thank you so much for having your say on our podcast. And being able to, you know, some young people obviously might have these same feelings, same thoughts, but not have a way to express themselves. So I'm glad that we were able to create this platform for you to do that, and for others who can feel the same way and relate to how you're feeling. So thanks for talking about our topic. So every week we're going to have our guest speaker do a hashtag about the topic we're talking about.
Yes, and we are going to use that hashtag. So if any of you want to get involved, and if some of the stuff that Sienna's talked about you feel the same way, or maybe you feel differently, get involved, talk to us, use the hashtag, and we'll
reach out to you guys, and we'll see how we can support you on this topic. So Sienna, we'd like you to pick our hashtag for this week's topic, COVID-19. So our hashtag is going to start with hashtag GX and
hashtag GX we matter.
Hashtag GX we matter. I like it. Thank you so much. Now, before you go, Sienna, okay, we like a bit of a laugh. We like to have fun, don't we, Shanice?
Oh, we do. I've been waiting for this all week.
All week. Okay. So we're gonna play a little bit of a game, yeah? And because we were talking about COVID, Shanice thought it'd be good to play the game with a mask.
Yes, you know, we're promoting safety.
Yeah.
Safety always, before everything else, before fun, safety.
Right, so we prepped Sienna earlier to get herself a mask. And a pack of Maltesers.
Or
and
any other non-branded chocolate.
And we're going to put a few of these on the table, guys. And shall I do an example? Shall I do an example for us? Okay.
Yeah, I can't see.
All right, I'm gonna
get my timer ready.
So we got 30 seconds on the clock, guys. Okay. 30 seconds, and I'm going to see how many Maltesers. No hands. No hands. How many Maltesers can I get?
Ready? Are you ready now?
In the cup.
In the
I'm ready. I'm ready.
3.
Wait, you have to put them on the surface.
Yeah, so put them down on the surface.
You guys can do this at home as well.
Yeah, join in.
I would suggest it.
No hands. With your mask on. How many can you get in the cup?
3, 2, 1, go. Come on, Nyla. Come on. There's a lot of technique actually and skill. You may think it's easy, but it's really not. It's just as easy as Nyla is making it look. I think that's cheating. I think I said no hands. That looks like one hand. Yes, Nyla, you're in the bag. Final stretch. You stop. Right. So
I got 4 in 30 seconds. That's terrible.
I think that's a good benchmark. Do you know?
Right, I think Shanice should go.
I haven't got a cup, so I'm gonna have to use my bag.
Is your bag empty, Sienna?
No.
What
Improvisation, I love it.
Put them in a shoe.
Improvisation.
Put them in a shoe, and then pour them out so we can see how many you've done.
Yeah, if you don't have a cup, you can just put them in your hand.
It's fine.
Should I just put them in my mum's boot? She's not gonna care, is she?
No, just don't eat them. I don't suggest you eat them afterwards.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even like Maltesers anyway.
Oh, that's great. That's good. Okay. All right. So okay. less time, Sienna. All right, you ready?
But do I need to put them on the table?
I would suggest that as a technique. Yeah. Get them spread out.
My forehead's just gonna be blazing in the front of the camera.
It's fine. Ready? You've got 30 seconds on the clock. Your time starts.
Oh, I'm gonna look so stupid.
Now.
Oh.
That's one. That's one. Good girl.
Oh yeah, see?
There's a brilliant technique.
Are you sure you haven't done this before?
I know. 3. Oh, why is she so much better than me? Oh my gosh!
Yes, you've already. Nyla, I'm sorry, we've been wiped down the competition.
Wait, she used her hand.
Oh.
Hands behind back.
How long's left from the clock?
Time. Well done, Sienna. How many did you have?
You know, I just spilt them all on the floor.
I will say I saw that she definitely had more than me.
We definitely did.
Right.
She did
definitely had more than me.
I got 6.
6. Well done. It's better than 4.
It is better than 4. There was a
I literally spilt them all over my floor. Do you want to see?
Hey, Maltese are first. don't stand on them. You'll have chocolate in the carpet. I don't think your mum will be happy about chocolate melted in the carpet. Don't blame us. It wasn't our fault.
I'll be like, yeah, Nana definitely didn't tell me to get Maltesers. Pick them up with my knife and put them into your boot.
Oh gosh. Right, Sienna, thank you so much again for joining us, chick.
Yeah, that's fine. I want to say one thing before I go.
Definitely.
I didn't get to say. Just remember, guys, that everyone's situation, everyone's mindset is going to be completely different. Like everyone's emotions and everyone, how everyone's feeling is going to be so different. So, if you feel like you can't relate to someone or someone can't relate to you about what you're going through, just remember that there's a million other people out there who feel the same way as you, and just remember that other people are going to be taking the whole COVID education thing differently, and that eventually it will pass and we're all going to be fine again. It's just, like I said, keeping a routine, self-care, trusting in yourself, and just hoping for a better future, really. And I feel like it's just important to try your best to keep a positive mindset and understand that it's okay to not feel okay, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks so much, C. Thank you for joining us on GX Podcast. Say how it is. Our first guest, and we loved having you. You're amazing. Awesome. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so that was great.
That was so cool.
She was amazing.
Yeah, just natural.
She was. She's a great speaker.
Some really important points, I think.
Definitely. And what a really good topic to talk about. I know, you know, my kids are facing it, and so many young people I know.
Literally everyone, every young person at the moment is facing it.
And it's not easy.
No.
For any of them, for any of us, for any of the teachers, like, they're all struggling right now. But things like this, where we can talk about what we're facing, what we're feeling, and being able to share. This is what it's about. It's about sharing.
Get it off your
sharing
chest.
experiences.
And say it how it is.
Say it how it is.
That's what it's all about.
Woo, woo. So, yes, our final thing, activity of the day, evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are, however you're watching it, whatever time of day, is our Artist of the Week.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
I said last time, I think, this is my favourite part of the show.
I think so too, and I'd encourage you guys, our Artists of the Week, listen to them after you finish watching, just watch the clip. You know, we don't recommend we don't recommend music that is on fire, so just have a look.
Yeah, and it's not just about music, you know. Artist of the Week could be anything. There's so many different, it could be paintings. I like paintings.
I really love paintings, actually. I really used to want to be a painter. The skill wasn't there, but the heart was.
My daughter took art GCSE, and she's like so creative. She done a drawing with makeup. How sick is that?
Resourceful.
Literally, she done a whole face with just eyeshadow, mascara, lipstick. I couldn't believe it. It was brilliant.
Wow. Wow.
She could be the Artist of the Week next week. Like, vote her in, guys.
Yes.
But
and if you've got any pictures that you've drawn, dances that you have done, any sort of artistic thing, you know, who's to say what is art? Just send it in.
Exactly. But this week's Artist of the Week is none other than dweud, who has just come on the scene.
Yeah.
I never even knew that he did music, and he's just come on the scene. dweud.
With a banger, can I add?
Yes. It's a freestyle on YouTube. We will share the clip, guys. Check it out. He's one to watch, he's one to follow, and if you don't know, now you know.
Yes.
And that is this week's episode.
So thank you so much.
Thank you for watching, and share it.
See you next week.
GX Podcast, say it how it is.
You always do this. Let's finish this one.